All right.
Well, I got a couple words off the record. Okay, the first order of business on the agenda is the housing assistance programs. And can we start with the Lrap rental voucher program?
Sure. I didn't email it in because we just got a completed application today.
Okay.
So if it's okay, I can present that and then I can give a summary of all the programs. So like I said, we just got this one today, Lrap 22. It is a 2-person household and the annual income is $23,585. The rent is $1,300 a month. And this household has 6 preference points.
Okay. So any discussion of any questions about this?
No.
Person?
No.
All right. So the next order would be a motion to approve. Is that right?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the application of Lrap 22 as presented.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any further discussion? No. All right, we'll do a vote. Susan,
Yes.
Cynthia,
Yes.
Matthew,
Yes.
and Bartlett is yes, so the motion carries. Okay, Nicole, what's the, how many people do we have active now in Lrap?
So on Lrap right now we have 14 active. 3 out of those 14 are on their 3rd and final year of the program. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of information about each of those 3 households that are approaching the end of the program. One household has used the program assistance to pay down debt, which was affecting their ability to pay rent. I spoke with Amy, our outreach coordinator, this afternoon, and she feels as though this household will be able to pay their current rent after the program ends. However, it would still be quite tight for them, but they have used the program to their advantage as far as paying down their debt. Another of those 3 has used the program assistance to continue their education and secure a higher paying position. And the last of the 3 has used the program assistance to maintain independence in their home. Due to their age, this household, the income is not going to change. But because of this program, they have been able to stay in their home longer than they would have without it. So I know that when we started this program, it was, the 3 years. And so I just wanted to give you an update on those 3 who have been with us since the very beginning. And as far as ERAP, we have 1 active on ERAP. This household they'll receive their last rental assistance payment for June. And that will be their final month with ERAP. They've done all of the extensions and will likely apply for Lrap within the next month. We don't currently have any applications pending for ERAP. And the mortgage assistance program is still on hold with that 1 resident. They're still in the process of acquiring the documentation from their mortgage institution to go forward.
It's taking them quite a while.
It is, yes. There's been some personal issues going on that have kind of delayed things quite a bit.
Do you,
Okay,
sorry,
Well,
excuse me, Mr. Chair, if I may.
you certainly.
Do you think that the mortgage assistance isn't being taken advantage, if the people aren't applying because of a lack of knowledge, because of bureaucracy, or because there isn't a need for it? Do you have any sense of that?
So the mortgage assistance program is for, only a certain number of units in town. And I know that when we first, when the program first started, we had reached out to all of those households. Off the top of my head, I want to say there are 11. So we had reached out to all of them individually and explained the program and the application process. So all of those eligible are aware of the program, and they have, up until this point, chosen not to participate for whatever reason.
What's the limiting factor in the eligibility? Is it, 40B, or is there?
It's the it has to be an affordable unit
Okay.
to qualify for the program. So talking about it now, it's probably worthwhile for us to reach out to those households again, to check in and see how they're doing now, and if their situations have changed, and if it would benefit them at this point.
Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I have
Sure.
a few questions for Nicole about the summary regarding the Lrap applicants that are on their the 3 applicants that are on their 3rd year in the program. The first applicant that used the money to pay down debt, which is great, but you're saying that they might, at the end of the program, they might still be struggling financially. Do you think that they're going to be looking to try to continue or extend on the program? And like last year, everybody shifted. Nicole, or do you think they're going to utilize, I don't know how much that debt would be, or they're going to utilize other mechanisms to help alleviate some of their unsecured debt?
Right. So when this program first started, it was, a cutoff at 3 years, and each year we kind of redetermine eligibility. So what myself and Amy have done with these residents throughout their 3 years is kind of, we're supposed to come up with a plan for when the assistance ends. So this household in particular, they're not moving, their financial situation, their income hasn't changed. So while they've been able to pay down the debt, that has kind of inhibited them in the past. I do think that I actually think that all 3 households would love to continue the program. But since they're the first 3 to get to the 3 years, it's kind of unprecedented.
Right.
I don't know if they would be allowed to continue.
Right. Yeah, I think the first applicant, we need maybe further discussion about that, and maybe some more information. With regard to the second household that used the money to continue their education, good for them and get a higher paying job. I love hearing that. I think that's really wonderful. Do you know if they've secured a higher paying job yet, or is that still something that they're working on?
I think that they have, and they're looking to move up even further. They're actually within the same company that they started with and have moved up due to being able to afford extra training.
Okay.
So they have moved up, and I think that they're probably looking to continue to do that.
Okay, that's wonderful. And then the third household you mentioned, because of their age, they're pretty much in need of this program to sustain their housing accommodations.
Yes.
There's no, it doesn't seem to me that there's going to be any means that they're going to be able to avail themselves to change their circumstances, and they're really dependent on the program.
Correct.
Okay. All right, good. And so we have a year now so they're entering their 3rd year, or this is the end of their 3rd year?
They're just entering their 3rd year.
All right, perfect.
So there's plenty of time, but I noticed that as I was going through and just thought I should mention it.
No, I'm glad that you did. It's 3 very different circumstances, so it's kind of interesting to hear how they utilize the program so far. So we'll see where they end up at the end of this year. So thank you for that.
Thanks.
That's all.
Well, it is a good story to have, some success with these programs. I think it's wonderful. Okay, so that does item 1. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Unless there's further discussion among the board here. Next is board member inputs. Does anybody have anything to say?
I have spoken to Steve Janley, our new director of DPW, about the perk test. He is willing to provide equipment, backhoe, and so forth. He's not an engineer. So I reached out to Chris Stoddard at the same time, but didn't get a response from him. So I need to, I'm not really 100% sure what Chris's, disposition with the town is right now. I know that he's working 1 day a week as a consultant. I'm not really sure how he feels about doing pro bono work for the town, as it were. So I'm going to call him and find out. And if he's, hesitant, we'll have to find someone to do the actual engineering. Maren, I assume that I can ask you for some references, unless that's an ethics violation.
Well, actually, for Tehadawon Road, I had sent out a request for responses for engineering services. I sent it out to 5 or 6 different companies, got one response back, and I included that in the email that I sent for this meeting. And it was Places Associates, Sue Carter, and I'm not going to remember the gentleman's name.
Okay.
They're her partner there, and they're willing to do it and gave us a cost estimate for the work. And it included if the town could provide the equipment.
Okay, good.
That would
Okay.
save the.
So that would work out fine.
Some as well.
Shall I go? I mean, I'll talk to you after that. I'll talk to you tomorrow and we'll figure out how to I can reach out to them, or you can, whatever works best.
Sure, great.
Thank you.
And at first we thought that the testing should be done in June. The recommendation from the engineer is to put it off even later in the year.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's dry the swamp out a little bit.
Probably.
Okay. All right.
I have something to share,
Good.
Bartlett. So I heard back from Dave Guthrie regarding the Jerky Farmhouse. Apparently it is still held up with conservation. He had thought that they had gotten the initial approvals, but at the last meeting with the Conservation Trust, they're looking for him to do some more work on the site and provide them with some more information. So that is still in limbo. I was going to actually reach out to Chase and just see, ask him what his thoughts are, and just let him know that the Housing Trust is hoping to get that property turned over sooner rather than later so that we can move forward with that project. But that's where we're at on the Jerky Farmhouse. So it's still in limbo.
Okay. Yeah. Conservation can be very difficult to deal with.
Right. And I don't know exactly what the specifics are regarding the issue. And the only other thing I wanted to share was that Bartlett, myself, and Mark Montanari did tour the Littleton Inn. In case you didn't notice that it was up for sale. So we stopped in there and just had a walk through just to see if it could possibly be used for any affordable housing purposes. Determined that it cannot, just because of the layout and the rooms and the steep stairs, and just because of the age of the house. But it was kind of neat to walk through it. There's actually 4 apartments off of that inn, which I didn't realize. And the realtor that had showed us the property said that she believes that somebody was interested in it is looking to retain it for an inn, which would be wonderful for the town. So that's all I have to share about that.
I believe the apartments are operated independently of the inn. I mean, they're not inn rooms, they're apartments, so that they're longer term occupants.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but it was neat to see that.
Yeah, it was.
I've never been in there, so. So,
The old Victorian steep stairs.
Bartlett. It was not very energy efficient, Bartlett pointed out, the house.
Right. We'd
And
have
you
to,
you said Conservation Trust, but I assume you meant Conservation Commission.
I didn't, yeah, I mean, commission, correct.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. Just,
Okay, I think, all I can report is that the planning board, had a presentation from Lupoli Companies, and they are pursuing the proposed idea of building town hall there and taking over putting housing in the Shattuck Street building. But the flip side of that is that they want a lot more units on that site. And that's a selectman decision. I don't, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but the proposed number of units went from 650 altogether on that 40-acre site to 780, which they claim that they need that many units to pay for a town hall building and the renovation of the Shattuck Street building. So that's still in the early stages of discussion. I don't know. I'm just saying that that's a proposal that's out there, and I don't know what the reaction of town meeting would be to think about that 780 number on that site.
Bartlett, did they give any indication of that 780, how many would be affordable? Are they sticking to the 10%, or would they?
Yeah, the 10% figure did come up, and there was some grumbling that we wanted more than that. So there's nothing fixed about it. It will be mostly small units. They did say that they were going to put in 10% of the units would be 3 bedrooms. And I would guess from the way they talk that, maybe 15% would be 2 bedrooms, maybe 20%, and the rest would be 1 bedrooms and maybe studios. I don't know. So it's going to be skewed towards the small apartment size.
Right, which
But
might be more affordable in general.
I mean, no, there's no specific negotiations that I know of about the percentages of, or the numbers of affordable units and what the level would be.
Okay, so as far as relocating town hall to 550 King and converting Shattuck into housing units, the select board is still discussing that. I believe that Mr. Lepoli's coming before us at our next meeting, with some more information that we had asked for. So that's still up in the air. Still a lot of unanswered questions in that regard. So we'll see what happens at our next meeting, see what other information comes forward about that.
All right, that's going to be developing over the summer, probably into next year.
Right.
Okay.
Excuse me, Mr.
yeah.
Chair. Didn't they also, in their presentation to the planning board, talk about that they were increasing the number of units across that streetscape, across King Street, that they called aging in place units?
Yes, and I don't understand that.
Don't know what what that meant.
Well, it means level threshold entrance into the building, so there's no steps. It means probably in some cases kitchen sinks that are usable if you're in a wheelchair, or that can be adapted to that kind of thing, and 1 floor living. And they did say that all of those smaller buildings along that street, that stretch there, would have elevators in them.
Right.
So there would be a little tiny lobby with an elevator, and probably mailboxes and a front door, and then stairs and an elevator up to 10 or 20, whatever number of units they were going to put in that building.
Right, because they had said they increased it, and their original
Right.
plan was like 60 units, and now they were increasing it to 80 units.
I think more than that, but yes.
Just in that section, I mean.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, which building are we speaking about?
We're talking about the series of smaller buildings along the street. The part
okay.
that is in the form-based code
Okay.
requirements.
Got it.
Retail on the bottom
On
level.
the bottom, and
and
okay.
housing on the top level.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have zero, threshold entrance on the top level of above commercial, are you?
Well, with the elevator, you can do
Oh,
that. Yes.
I
They're
guess that's
doing an
true.
elevator. They did.
I mean, 3-story, 2-story, 3-story residential buildings. I immediately questioned whether age in place was appropriate, and they said, no, there's elevators. So
Okay.
that works.
At the last select board meeting, Liz was there along with Mr. Lapoli, and I had mentioned that he should connect with EHS and speak to Liz about any design for aging in place units. So hopefully those conversations have taken place.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That would be good.
Okay.
Okay.
And if I may, Mr. Chair, I see that Mr. Glavy's on the call. I didn't know if he wanted to address the group at all before, because I think we're down to meeting minutes, right?
Yeah, almost. Paul, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, thank you, Bartlett. I wasn't on the agenda, but I was just looking if there was an opportunity to give an update on one aspect of the family trust project at the Tehadawon Road property, or at least plans involving the house there that would be specifically germane to your mission with the Affordable Housing Trust. And I know I mentioned this in some level of detail anyway to Cindy, I think Matthew, I think Mark, I don't know about Mark, I can't remember. But anyway, I was hoping to get here a month ago. And I showed up on Wednesday night by Zoom for your Tuesday meeting, so I missed that. But I did get to the Historic Commission meeting, and they were excited because what we're considering now, it's an aspect of the project that's kind of irrelevant to the litigation and all the rest of it, so I don't mind talking about that publicly. And it speaks to the inclusionary zoning requirement relative to the approved subdivision, and what it means in terms of obligation on behalf of the eventual builder, buyer, or whoever, and that would be as currently constructed per the bylaw, 2 units, or the the HUD payment requirement. That's I guess almost exclusively what people end up doing on a similar type subdivision. What we're hoping to do here now, the idea I'd like to, at some point present formally to the planning board, but I'd like to run it by the Affordable House Trust sooner, is a proposal which actually was floated to me by somebody who had worked in Bolton on a very similar subdivision on property surrounding a colonial era home with shocker, the exact same bylaw. They must have bought it from the same consultant we bought ours from, or whatever they have up in Bolton. But nonetheless, what they ended up doing was they allowed the house and that property to be developed as a which, by right anyways, the house is going to be a 2-family, make it a rear entry renovated 2-family house, which allows for both the preservation of the building, the house, and then also would actually provide for 2 actual affordable housing units. And instead of just writing a check to the fund, which is great to have, but so far hasn't provided any housing for anybody. So that's the nature of it, is hope to preserve the house by restoring, renovate it, and turn it into a duplex that would satisfy the affordable inclusionary zoning requirement, and provide 2 units of deed restricted affordable housing per all the Boston area HUD requirements. So I'm hoping to add to the affordable housing stock in reality, not theory. How's that?
That would be good. We need houses.
And preserve the home, because
Yep.
it's difficult. Any of the, as you can imagine, I mean, a couple of you were planning board members, and you wouldn't have to be a planning board member to realize this, that the same folks who build new construction homes are not the same folks who do renovations. So they view it as just a problem to be dealt with and something to be gotten out of the way, and look at it as the potential lot it is, rather than as the, as the gem it is. And so I'm hoping to satisfy a number of things in one fell swoop, but this is just this isn't a formal proposal. More it is than just giving you guys a heads up before it appears as a formal proposal.
Right.
And an invitation for input too.
Okay. Could you say again which site you're talking about?
Oh, it's the family home at 195 Tehadawon Road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
How big would the units be?
Oh, I haven't got into that level of detail yet, but I mean, it was we housed as many as 10 people there in my lifetime. So split that in half. I'm sure under current requirements, there's plenty of space in there. It's, it would just have to be significantly renovated to satisfy both, current requirements, and then at the same time do our best to maintain the historic integrity of the house. But as far as how many bedrooms or whatever, I'm not sure at this point.
Okay. That is a very old house, I believe.
Well, we don't have proof that it's the oldest in town, but neither does anybody else. It maybe, we say that much. It's likely pre-1700. I know the house on the Robinson Road has a definitive sign on there, but to a 1600 date. But it's carved into a rafter, and it's probably something that was right,
reused. But
we
knows?
We could have done something similar, but chose to be more humble.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting possibility, I guess, for us to consider.
I love the idea, especially if you could preserve the house. It's such a beautiful house on Tehadawon. It's got that gorgeous tree out front. If there is any way to turn it into 2 affordable units, or however many you can get, I think it'd be wonderful to be able to preserve that and use the property for that purpose. Was it at one time a 2-family anyways, Paul?
Sort of, yeah. That's it actually twice in its lifetime it has been, and to my knowledge, one is when our family bought it, my great-great-grandfather in 1876, he bought it from the widow who was living there. Her husband had been a farmer and died, and that was the affordable housing of the day. Buy the house from, was surviving widow, and she had a life tenancy in the 2 front rooms in the on the ground level, and the rest of our family moved in, and after she passed on, got the remainder of the house. And then after World War II, before houses were constructed, both my father and mother moved in with my grandmother, and my aunt and uncle moved in too. And so they had 2 different families in there too, until the McNiff's house was built off of part of the property there. So it's been a 2-family a couple of times, pre-zoning.
It's great.
Great. Well, thank you.
There is, I anticipate the main point for the planning board to consider is that obviously the language in the inclusionary zoning anticipates new construction and mandates that you don't build a cheaper form of housing for, if you're affordable. If that's the route you choose to go, it has to be essentially the same as what you're selling as market rate. Well, that's not the concept we're dealing with here, and in Bolton anyway, they just looked at that as a an item that they gave a waiver on for the opportunity to accomplish both the affordable housing and historic preservation ends. So there may be other issues. I haven't got into the details enough to know that, but I just thought I'd let you know that's in the offing. And as I say, we're at the stage where I certainly welcome input and hopefully support.
Well, thank you.
Great.
Okay, that's good to know. Tricky Farm, we're waiting for conservation. Tahadawan, we're waiting for septic information. 550 King Street, we're waiting for more information. So I think we've done that. Does anybody have anything to say before we go to minutes of the prior meeting?
No, I just have a few quick administrative updates. I was going to pay the latest bill from the Housing Consortium, $862.50. I've been doing that just as an administrative approval, just sharing that to let you know that's what it was for this last quarter. And my office is in receipt of a check from Dave Guthrie for 3 of the Grimes Lane lots. So the amount of $30,000. The recommendation from Finance Department is for Affordable Housing Trust to write a letter to the Select Board asking the Select Board to accept the funds to the general fund with the understanding that this is to be set aside for affordable housing and routed to CPC for the match in the fall. So
Excellent.
a letter. I've drafted a letter for chair and vice chair signature, just big picture on that. So,
All right, well, I will sign that when it comes my way.
Myron, did we get any information about when Mr. Guthrie thinks he's going to turn the property over to us? I know he's in the middle of design and everything for the septic. Did he try to give us a date? I know I asked you a while back. And sorry for being late, by the way. Hope I didn't miss too much.
If I'll reply, Bartlett.
Yeah,
So actually,
go ahead.
Mark, before you got on the meeting, I updated the group that Dave had sent me an email telling me that the approvals are still held up with Conservation Commission. So we are delayed a little bit longer. He's working through that process with them.
Okay. But at least he's working that way. Good.
Yeah, no, he had gotten some initial approval, but then they came back to him and said they wanted something else from him. So he's working on that.
And that has to do with the wetlands down at the low
Yeah.
point in there,
I believe so, yeah.
the sacred frogs.
So that's where
I
we're
didn't
at on
say
that.
that. Okay. Okay, minutes. Has anybody had a chance to read the minutes from April 19th?
Yes.
Mhm.
No changes.
No changes.
Nope.
Can I?
This is Angus. I would like to make a comment about the minutes.
Oh, good, Angus.
But it can hear me. Right. During board member inputs, I did make a proposal to have scientifically sound people who design houses for the elderly to involved in the IBM project. And I do believe the interim chairperson at the time, Cindy, off the cuff dismissed the idea without debate. And I think that at this time we have an unprecedented number of people interested in the activities of the housing trust, simply because of some of the successes we've had. And we've had an unprecedented number of people joining these meetings. They're not only looking for substance, they're also looking for process. And I do believe that Cindy, just off the cuff, dismissing the idea without debate, brings into question whether we have a process in what we do. The question is, do we want a contractor, developer, build something run-of-the-mill, or do we want scientific input from people who have been doing this as a profession and who teach it in college. So this is the question. I do believe the board should look at it and have a debate. If they feel it's sound, then it proceeds. If they feel it's not sound, it's dropped. But simply just off the cuff, dismissing an idea isn't quite right. And I would want anybody, or I would want the board to, the trust to look at that. Thanks.
If I may respond, Bartlett, please,
Sure.
Mr. Chair. Angus, I apologize if you felt like I dismissed you. I'm not quite sure where that came from. I believe what we talked about was reaching out to Mr. Lapoli and seeing if it was something that he felt would be beneficial to him. But maybe I'm mistaken in my recall of the conversation.
Angus, I'll try to.
Just a minute. What I heard was that the contractor will has his own design team, and they were going to design. They would bring out what they were going to design, and that was it. And you moved on. That was the comment that you made. It wasn't exactly the way you put it.
Okay, I apologize. Mark, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that.
I was just going to chime in. Angus, I didn't take Cindy as just dismissing it. I took Cindy at the appropriate time when Mr. Lapoli comes before us with design of senior age in place housing that we would all have a chance to look at. I think we're a little premature with it. I didn't see Cindy as dismissing it. Just as once it gets back to the planning board in the design phase of it, that not only will the select board have a look at it, the planning board will have a look at it, and of course, the Affordable Trust can bring whoever they want into it. It's just, I think we're a little early now, and that's all I think Cindy was trying to get at. I don't think it's not an important issue. I think it's very important. I think Mr. Lapoli, and I figure where I came into the meeting, is looking at doing something like 100, 120 units of senior age in place on top of the retail with elevators connecting all of it, which is very expensive, and a great concept, because that way all the amenities are going to be right below the seniors if they want to go downstairs and have lunch, if they want to have coffee and things like that. I think that's a great place to put it, along with the stuff that's going on at hopefully at Chaddock Street sooner rather than later. I think, Angus, that's a great idea. Uh-oh, she sicked the dogs on me. To take a look at all of that. It's just a little early in the process. I think that's. Go ahead, Angus.
Mark, I wish you had said something on that day, but you said absolutely nothing. And exactly what I said was what Cindy said, not what you are articulating now. This is what you think, but you never said anything.
I apologize. I apologize, Angus. I don't think that was not the intention.
What I'm trying to say is that we should have process. Everybody should be heard. You don't just cut people off and just dismiss an idea and just move on. And now you're qualifying it, polishing it, everything. You never said anything on that day.
See, now Cindy's mad at me. See, is he happy now? No, I apologize, Angus. I think we just kind of all assumed that. And if I didn't say it that way, that was definitely how I was thinking. And I do apologize. I think it's very important. The senior aspect of what's going on at 550 King Street should be addressed. And obviously, we have design criteria that the state will be giving us. If we have an expert that can look at it as well, we'd be foolish not to use that. So if we weren't, I don't know why we didn't probably discuss it more, but we obviously, I know it's important to Cindy. I know it's important to me that we do it. We do senior housing the right way. And I apologize if we weren't clear enough on that. How's that?
So,
Yeah. Go ahead, Cindy.
thank you, Mark. So maybe what we should do is, since I know Liz has done a lot of, our Director of Elder and Human Services has done a lot of work on this as well. Maybe we should connect the group that Angus connected with Liz in Elder and Human Services in the COA, and let them have a conversation amongst themselves, or at least make that introduction, I think would be helpful. Instead of having all these moving parts, because we have planning board, we have affordable housing trusts, we have the group that Angus connected with, and we have elder and human services. So maybe if we make that introduction, at least, you know, with the COA, and Liz is the director of the COA, and at least make that introduction as we begin this process. At this point, it's still up in the air as far as the select board goes, as far as moving 550 King Street, using town hall for housing. Like, there's a lot of moving parts going on right now. So maybe, and I know Marge is on here and she's the chair of the Council on Aging Board, but maybe we could do that to facilitate that introduction. Marge, what do you think about that?
Well, I was actually, thank you, Cindy. I was going to raise my hand because I think obviously Liz is our lead. And yes, maybe we do need outside input, but I agree it's premature at this point. You know, we're not at that point yet. I don't think with what we're, you know, what we need, but I do think Liz definitely needs to be involved.
Okay.
Sure, Susan would agree with that too. So, and Liz is, yeah. So.
Do you think that maybe, Angus, this group would want to come and meet with the Affordable Housing Trust or maybe the COA board? I just don't know how to move forward with this without.
Yeah, I was going to suggest, Angus, that if you can, you could get these people or one of them to, you know, maybe just send an email to us and to the other people that we've talked about. And I think we should connect those people with the Lupoli companies. I don't think it's really too premature. I think I at the last meeting, the Lupoli companies said that they were thinking about keeping one or both of the IBM buildings because they're huge. And there is beginning to be some kind of a market for buildings that size. And if somebody can come up with a way to put housing in it or to put housing in part of one, I think they would be interested in talking to them. So I think I need some more specific information about who these people are and how to contact them and what services they're actually offering.
So that precisely was the point. I did specifically say that I wanted the professors to give our unit a talk on what the design for the elderly should look like. There are certain features that have to be incorporated in a design for the elderly. I'm not requesting to come right away. I just want to bring the best into Littleton. And I want to make sure that anything that's going in there is scientifically proven and sound. And I'm not saying they should come right away. When the appropriate time comes, yes, they can be introduced. I'm not saying we need them right away, but I was just laying the grounds for this to happen. Now, if you want them to give me a slideshow or talk or something, I can speak to the professors and they can meet with our group or the COA or whoever is responsible just to get an idea of what we should be looking to incorporate in anything that's being built, designed for the elderly. That was just my point.
Okay. Do you want to ask them if they want to make a presentation at our next meeting? We can give them 10 minutes or something, or half an hour in the agenda.
I can reach out and see if agendas match, and I will reach back to you.
All right, Maren, would that be okay with you to put something like that on the agenda?
Sure.
Yes, I'm happy to. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, Angus, I think you should pursue this. I think we should follow up, and if they are willing to come and talk to us or send us something about what they do, I think we should look at it. And I would be happy to pass it around to all the other people involved.
Okay, that's fine.
Good. Okay, so you're not asking for a change to the minutes. You're just I mean, because that your statement is in the minutes from last month about the
Well,
specialist.
No, I'm not asking for a
Okay.
change. I was just making a point of order and making sure that whatever we're doing is follows due process, and I wanted this to be captured in the minutes today.
Great. Okay. I think the more information and ideas we get, the better. All right, so are there any other comments on the minutes? Can I interpret that as a motion?
Make a motion to accept the minutes of April 19th. Was it the 19th?
It was the 19th?
I got it right.
Second,
All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. I think that's most of us. All right. So the next meeting is June 21st. That's what it's scheduled at right now. I hope we can do that. That sounds like it's going to be the last day of school. Maybe not. Is the 21st of June okay with everybody?
Yep.
Okay. Then we'll set that in stone. That's the next meeting. And I see no other business on the agenda. So unless somebody has something to add, we can stop the meeting and start drinking.
Move to adjourn.
Okay. A motion and made and seconded. All in favor, signify by
Aye.
saying aye.
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 All right. Thank you all
you all.
very much.